Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I'm Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, today's content is another good one on the battlefield of ideas for specifically our gun rights. This is a fight that we are in, and we are deep and we are thick and we are making moves. And if you've watched this channel for 6 months, you know we have been. Let me know what you guys think if you've been here a while. But this content is important because now we're diving into Philadelphia on one of the main gun control tenets of gun buyback programs. You've heard it touted on the federal level and the state level, mostly from the left gun control advocates. It's failing. It's failing miserably. But instead of looking at the data objectively and saying this is not the solution, let's keep going elsewhere, they're doubling down. And this article we're going to go through is incredibly important. Now the reason we're covering this is because this is one of the main arguments that come forward, but the more that we know, the more that we are on point with that data, the more we can make the impact and win everyone to our cause. We can all embrace the Second Amendment, the blessing of the Second Amendment, and make that difference because we are doing it, guys, and you're amazing and we're making it happen. Let me know what you think in the comments field below and let's dive in. As always, the description box below has all the articles for reference. Okay, so background a little bit. Pennsylvania is a mostly red state with some blue little islands. Okay, so their gun control or gun rights laws are pretty across the board. There's nothing extremely restrictive. There's also not open carry going on. It's kind of run of the mill. Okay, now that's important to know and puts this in context because this is different than California or New York, who have blue states and blue cities, right? That's why gun control is so much more intensive there. Now, this kind of goes to that point. If you guys recall, we've done a lot of videos on preemption. Now, preemption is the state level ordinance can't conflict with the state law, okay? Or excuse me, city level ordinance can't conflict with the state law. And here's actually what they say in the article. Philadelphia officials have also been hamstrung by Pennsylvania's preemption law, which prevents cities from creating and enforcing local gun ordinances, okay? Another thing that we're going to be talking about a lot is Denver is experiencing the same thing. Their legislatures at the state level are going after the preemption law. Preemption is actually in a majority of states in the United States. It basically prevents localized gun control from taking effect because it conflicts with state law. It's a really important thing the NRA put in place over the last 20 years. So that's a huge piece. Now, here's the article that we're going to start talking about. With gun buybacks, Philadelphia fighting an uphill battle. Okay? Again, everything linked in the description box below. Philadelphia has regularly used gun buybacks as one of the tools in its arsenal to combat violence. But while well-intentioned, these events may not have the intended impact. No kidding. Let's explore why. And this is important because it really shows you the less mentality here. The latest research showing buyback inefficacy comes from a working paper recently published in the National Bureau of Economic Research, which bills itself as a private, nonpartisan group focused on cutting-edge investigation and analysis of major economic issues. Okay? The report itself, it examined buybacks in 277 cities from 1991 to 2015 and found that they don't reduce gun crime or suicides, partly because there are just so many guns in America that buybacks can't make a noticeable dent in the number of firearms already in circulation, which is a huge win for us because it's hard to control that. While the NBER report is not peer-reviewed, others have also pointed to buybacks not accomplishing the goal of reducing gun violence. The Trace, a publication that focuses exclusively on gun violence, found that buybacks do little to stem shootings. So you're getting basically confirmation from a gun control advocacy group, The Trace, which tracks gun data, saying they don't work. This is what's happening when people go in with buyback programs. Check this out. Reasons include collecting guns already being non-functional or broken when they're turned in and thus being unlikely to be used in crimes in the first place because it was already broken. Cities offering too little money to make returns worthwhile and people using the money that they get from buybacks to purchase other guns. So people are taking in non-functional guns, they're getting paid more than they would on the free market for that non-functional gun, and then they're rolling that money into a new gun. Does that sound like the gun buyback plan is working and getting more guns off the street? No, it doesn't. It sounds like people taking advantage of a stupid economic policy which has no outcome on gun violence. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so that's the setup. That's what they've done, okay? Now before anyone, let me rephrase that. If we were going to go and look at that objectively from that data standpoint, I just gave you all of that data in that article, you would think, wow, we need to objectively look at why this is not working because it's either a waste of money and a waste of time because it's not achieving the outcomes we can achieve. I got to show you a definition of psychology thing that basically says exactly what we're about to witness. Cognitive dissonance is a mental stress or discomfort experienced when holding two conflicting thoughts. It occurs in situations where a person is presented with facts that contradict that person's self-image, attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. That's what we're about to see, so check this out. Nevertheless, Clark touted the buyback strategy during a press conference Thursday alongside Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro while announcing 2 upcoming buybacks in the city's Kensington neighborhood. Asked what he thought of the research, Clark called it speculative. We don't know, but the reality is that those are guns, and that a gun has the capability of creating harm. So this issue about they don't work, I believe that there's a likelihood that they do work. Okay, so because it's a gun, it could create harm, and so therefore, since it could create harm, we got to get rid of that because it potentially could create harm. But even though there's no stats that suggest it, and it's directly conflicting with a report that's actually out on based on 277 cities in 20 some odd years, I feel like there's a likelihood that it could work, so we're going to keep on doing them. Cognitive dissonance is massive on this because this is what you do. If you unravel one piece of the left ideology, you're unraveling their identity. And that is a problem. And then it unravels across the whole board, across the whole country. And that's why this is so important, and we're bringing it to you here. Cognitive dissonance is what's basically happening when we provide them all the stats, all the facts, all the evidence. It's common sense. And yet they still stick to the same guns, air quotes, because they can't basically merge left or right because they've committed themselves as that's part of their identity. And that is really, really crucial for us when we're having the conversations with people and bring them to our side. That's what we need to do because this is a great example of something you could share with somebody to bring them to our side of the argument. That's what I have for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field below. And until tomorrow, I'm Braden. See you later.